How is everybody doing? I am Oscar Lucio and this is Geeks Between Worlds. Luigi's Mansion 3 drops October 31st on Halloween. If you're anything like me, you do not want to have to wait till the day of Halloween to be able to play an awesome spooky game on your Nintendo Switch. So today I'm going to tell you the best Switch games to get you into that holiday spirit. The first game I have on my list is a puzzle platformer classic, and that is the game Limbo by Playdead Studios. We already know that 2D platformers work perfectly on the Nintendo Switch, and that's why this is going to start out my Halloween list. Limbo is a beautiful black and white game about a boy trying to find his sister. Along his way, he encounters terrible creatures and a lot of brutal and gory deaths. From every frightful encounter to every puzzle you complete, this game keeps its hooks in you. The puzzles are top notch, and when you fail in certain aspects, the brutality shocks you. And that's accompanied by a perfectly paced challenge as well. The first puzzles are very accessible and teach you a lot about the game, and by the end you feel extremely rewarded when you have completed one of the most challenging puzzles in the game. In my opinion, Limbo is a modern-day platformer masterpiece, and I think this is a perfect Switch game to get you in the mood for Halloween. But now temper your excitement because my next game is criminally underrated, and I think that everybody that is a fan of this series needs to play this title, and that is Doom 3. Doom 3 is considered the black sheep of the family, but that is why I think it is so good. Instead of a fast-paced shoot-'em-up hellscape, Doom 3 slows things down and really tries to scare you with black corridors and terrifying monsters. This game is only $10 on the eShop, and I think everybody should be picking this up for the value alone. This game takes about 10 to 15 hours to complete, and it is worth your time. If you're a horror fan, you like a good scare, and you have a Nintendo Switch, then don't miss the opportunity to play Doom 3 this Halloween season. Okay, you like the first two in my list. Now I'm going to throw you a curveball. The next game that I'm going to talk about is Mutant Mudds Deluxe. That's right, the shooter platformer on the original 3DS made it to the Switch, but in the deluxe version, you get 20 ghost levels. And I gotta tell you, every single game that I'm going to talk about in this video, Mutant Mudds Deluxe ghost levels have the best spooky Halloween music, and that's backed up by a really awesome game. So if you haven't gotten to play Mutant Mudds, it's finally your time to jump in, get into those ghost levels, grab your ghost gun, and get your spook on. Moving forward with my list, I just can't sit here and talk about Halloween video games without talking about one of my most favorite Halloween video games ever, and that's Friday the 13th. This game has an asymmetrical online playstyle, and it is finally on the Nintendo Switch as of this year. This game had a rough launch, but it is now one of my favorite games to play around Halloween. And this version on the Switch has a bunch of extra skins, and this game has came a long way and now has an offline mode, and you can practice as Jason, you could practice as the counselors, and you don't have to always be connected to online to play this game now. Jason Voorhees is one of the most noticeable characters in the horror genre, and playing at Camp Crystal Lake late at night on a Halloween evening is perfect. This is one of those games that when you log into an online match, you may have an awesome online moment that you never forget. This is one of those games that a near miss, a near death, or a death of one of your friends could be a crazy moment during the match. And with the scare factor, the chill factor, Friday the 13th is a great Halloween game that you should be playing on your Nintendo Switch. Now, as I get to the tail end of this list, the next game that I'm going to mention is insanely twisted and morbid. And if you don't already know, that game is Outlast. I couldn't pick to tell you between Outlast 1 or Outlast 2. The first Outlast game is a great survival horror, and it really goes back to the roots of what survival horror is. And Outlast 2, you're like in a cornfield running for your life, and you read notes about like a demon with a bunch of penises impregnating people, and you're like, what the fuck is this game? And that's why Outlast is fucking awesome during the Halloween season. Each game is on sale for the Halloween season at around $8 a piece, and whichever one you pick up, I would guarantee that you have a great time with one of these titles, if not both. Outlast 2 was censored because of all the crazy crap that they put into that game. And I don't know if I've ever been more scared than playing the first Outlast when it launched on PS4. I've talked a lot about value in this video so far. And when we're talking about real authentic scares, things that really frighten you and mess with your mind, Outlast cannot be beaten. But now, my number one game to play this Halloween 2019 on your Nintendo Switch is, of course, Resident Evil 4. This game launched back in the day on the GameCube, and it is finally home on one of my favorite Nintendo consoles ever. One thing that I noticed is when a lot of people were talking about the best horror games on the Nintendo Switch so far, a lot of people brought up Resident Evil Revelations. And that game is great, but don't kid yourself because Resident Evil 4 is better. Where do I begin with this game? Is it the men in the burlap masks chasing you with a chainsaw? Is it those moments when an enemy off-frame grabs you and scares the shit out of you? Or is it the amazing boss fights where you encounter new, unique creatures every time? In a game that has hordes of enemies coming after you, you cannot walk and shoot at the same time in this game, and it adds a truly terrifying depth to this combat. If you happen to have never played Resident Evil 4, just stop what you're doing, please take my advice, and go and play this game for yourself. I truly believe that Resident Evil 4 is masterclass work, and just the tone and color palette of this game alone is enough to get you into that holiday season. Now there's a couple of games that didn't make this list, but I want to mention anyway. Those games are Bendy and the Ink Machine, Layers of Fear, which is on sale on the eShop right now for only $3.99, Amnesia Collection, Onimusha Warlords, which has you playing as a samurai facing horrible creatures in a very creepy Eastern setting, Dead by Daylight, another online asymmetrical game, and Silent Hill. Just kidding, there is no Silent Hill on the Switch, and it's stupid. It's stupid. We should have Silent Hill on the Switch already. But that's all I got today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you checking out the video. But most importantly, in the comments below, let me know what's your favorite game that gets you into that spooky Halloween mood. I really appreciate it. GBW out.